hardly a bigger topic in the world of Maximo right now than AI. And as a primer, a baseline, what's the difference between the AI I'm using in my daily life and the AI in the Maximo Application Suite, MAS? And that's a really great question, because even if the tool behind what we use in our daily lives and what we're using in MAS were the same, which it's not. Even if it were the same though, we wouldn't get the same result because how we're using it's different. The purpose for which we're using it is different. And that's where the kind of the crux as the baseline of all of this lies, and also why it's so important to understand this first before we start expanding into what AI can or can't do, because conceptually AI is insanely powerful and can do an enormous amount of stuff for us. But what limits it? That's the question. So, to the answer. Context. If I get on ChatGPT, Grok, pick a flavor, any of them, and I start asking a question, I've learned that I'm going to say, and do this, and consider this, and don't forget to look at this, and this is really the way I'm thinking about it. This is who I want it to speak to. Context. I'm giving it tons of context. And I'm training it, right? I'm telling it where to look. I'm telling it where not to look. I'm telling it what voice to use in the answer, all kinds of things. And the result is I get an answer back that feels like it fits me. It feels like something that maybe I would want to say if I'm asking it to help me with an email or something. And that context is critical. It's important. It also manipulates the base data. And it manipulates it by, let's say, filtering it. It will remove some pieces while allowing others through. It will interpret the data differently based upon the way you've told it to look at the world, based upon your view of it. Now, let's go over to the world of the application suite, Maximo. The underlying purpose of Watson is to purely run on that data, to not be biased about it. And when we do that, we get a different result. What happens initially, more often than not, is either the result is magically bullseye, on target, or it's way off. What's happening here? What's going on? It doesn't have context. It doesn't know you. It doesn't know the way you think. It doesn't know what you're really looking for. And yeah, you could train it to do what you want. But is that the right answer? Probably not. I think it's no. But let's just say probably not. And here's why. If we were to extrapolate this just for a moment to, I'm building a new plant. And I'm going to build the facility. I'm going to create all of the infrastructure, my electrical, my plumbing, everything. And then I'm going to start deploying my manufacturing lines in there. And let's say I put all that stuff in the computer, right? And then I flip the switch on AI and I go, what's going to break? Well, it's just going to look at the things that fail most often. Whatever has the lowest life expectancy. It's that simple. It's pure, right? So whatever dies the fastest will be the answer. And it's going to be something ridiculous, like a floor mat. You're going to be like, well, that's not what I meant. Well, now we're starting to provide context. So now let's come back to where we are in the world of AI penetrating our work lives, especially as we are sitting here looking at Maximo 9.1, Mass 9.1, 9.2 coming out. How does it relate to that? What do we need to do? We got to provide it some context. And context in this realm is my use case or my process. If I'm an industrial process engineer, what's my process? What's my use case? What am I doing with this, right? The purpose of the asset is critical in understanding how I expect it to perform. And interestingly, if we go all the way back to reliability-centered maintenance, the origins of that in the 60s with United Airlines, and we're going to see a great similarity here. RCM was all about taking a look at the intricacies of your process and use case and determining what actually matters and what doesn't, given that use case. And here we are now in 2025 looking at AI with a very similar lens that those guys were looking at aircraft with in the 1960s when they came up with what today we know as RCM. And it is, how do I appropriately define a use case, a process, such that we can rapidly determine what is actually important, what is not important, and how we should react to a given scenario. Now, the beauty here is that AI is insanely powerful. Not just the speed with which it will act, but the number of scenarios it can act on simultaneously. It's beyond, right? So what does this mean? What's the difference? The difference is when I'm prompting my AI for personal use, I'm continuously interacting with it and I'm developing a persona and a style and an expectation. So it starts to work within those. When we're looking at the world of maintenance, we don't want it to conform to my personal view. We want it to conform to our operational goals. We want it to understand our use case. We want it to understand what the process engineer defined that line to do, from that raw material in to the finished product out. What is that supposed to do? And how does each asset in that process act as part of that cell or that segment within that process? That's the difference. The difference is the way we speak to the AI, the way we train the AI, and the way we enable it to react to us as a result of that training. So again, this is really the foundational base or primer for how do we want to address and look at AI within the world of Maximo, the Maximo Application Suite, CMMSs in general, asset lifecycle management, reliability in the context of AI. This is what's critical. It's a different way of looking at things. Again, you heard me say RCM is probably the best corollary in terms of our traditional practices of how we need to look at this. And then you're going to say, someone, oh yeah, but FMEA and it all matters. Don't get me wrong. I'm not isolating or excluding anything. RCM just happens to be probably the biggest, one as a singular practice that covers the most. They all matter. And the more interesting thing, I think, is as we've dug in and as I've dug in and discovered, is that we're really kind of going back to those roots. The roots of reliability practices are the most powerful approach to training our AI to deliver the results we want. So if I want my new AI engine in the application suite to really help me, I'm going to go right back to the roots of reliability, and I'm going to teach it not only my process and the use cases, but I'm going to tell it what I understand about my reliability requirements. And that's what's going to be the best move for me to get my industrial AI to perform for me the way that my personal AI does in my personal life. I know it's a lot. I know it's deep water. I'm sure there's a lot of questions. Makes sense. I've spent a lot of time on this. Let's talk. Throw some questions at us. Let's bang them off the wall together. Reach out. Give us a call. Hit us up. sales@banetti.com. Like, subscribe. Let's talk about it. Get ready with Banetti.